on everyone, Gilman with Lavalti back with our weekly Apple update video where we take a look at how Apple stock traded this past week, some key support and resistance levels that we were looking out for and how those fared during the week, and then what the future for Apple could look like this upcoming week. So real quick, if you enjoy these videos, hit the subscribe button down below, like the video, and then comment down below whether you agree with my analysis or if you have a different view on Apple, or if you've traded Apple recently, or if you've made profits on options or stocks or whatever it may be. I'd love to hear it, so drop it in the comment section down below. So wasting no time getting right into it, let me hit the one-day chart and we'll recap kind of Friday's action. So I made a video on that, feel free to check that out. But Friday wasn't too great of a day for Apple. We were down 1.4% and then another 25 basis points after hours. So Apple was down to 118.72. And then taking a look at the 5-day chart, let me zoom out just a little bit. We'll get a better view of the week. So here's the big gap up that we saw on Monday from the 117s level all the way up to 119s, 120. And then we pushed up all the way on Monday in anticipation of the Tuesday event. And then I had mentioned in my video that, hey, we're probably going to see a sell-off going into the event. We're going to see a sell-off right after the event. And sure enough, we did. Actually, we saw a sell-off a little bit before that. It recovered to that 124 level. And then we saw a sell-off, and then we saw a little bit of a bump when they announced the iPhone, and then we saw more of a sell-off. So we had talked about that on Monday, how I personally thought we'd trade flat into the event and then kind of see some sell-off, because that's sort of the catalyst people are looking forward to, and that there would be some profit taking due to the huge run-up we had in the previous couple days. And we saw that, and then we kind of have been sort of downward trending, not doing a whole lot of anything. So Wednesday was kind of a dip and then recovered a decent amount of it. Thursday was a little bit of nothing but kind of moving up, and then Friday was a little bit of a sell-off again. And again on Thursday, I talked about this on Friday, that we could gap up just a little bit and then see a Friday fade, and we did essentially see that. We did see a pushback. So we recovered the gap, pushed back up, got rejected by the VWAP. And then for those of you that know, when we got rejected by VWAP here, I took on a put position because it was relatively weak that I was up on, and I should have sold, but I just wasn't able to. I'd put a limit order in and it never executed. So let me go over kind of my open positions currently and share with you guys why I got those. So this is one of them. This I bought, like I said, when I saw this jump with the VWAP, or this rejection with the VWAP, right? It had tested it a couple times, struggled to get back up to it, and then when it finally got up to it, it got rejected, and then it fell hard. So when it got rejected around this point, I bought it. I was up about 15%. I just bought one contract, right? I've talked about this in my other videos, but with the volatility in the market right now, I don't feel comfortable investing a lot of money because things can just happen, not because of Apple, but because of stimulus, coronavirus, stuff like that. I was up about 15% on it. I'm planning on getting rid of that Monday, right, if the market does go down just a little bit. And then the other one was this put spread that I took on earlier this week. This screenshot is actually as of Thursday that I shared in my video. I haven't taken a new screenshot, but because of the Friday fade that I mentioned on my Thursday videos, I am down. Instead of being up 2.5%, I'm down about 2.5%, 3%. But I'm not too worried. All I need Apple to do is be, at or above 119. I mean, ideally above 121, so I can get max profit of $200. But if it's anywhere between 119 and 121, then I'll get whatever the difference of that is. So not too worried about that. So now let's take a look at, kind of where we stand in terms of what the next steps could be. So now, as I mentioned, if we zoom out here, right, we gapped down. So we gapped up. We had a huge gap up, right? And you guys have probably heard me say this over and over again, but let me get rid of the VWAP. But whenever we gap up or gap down, there's a great tendency that the stock has to kind of fill the gap, right? So if we zoom into this action here, where we kind of gap down, we went to fill that gap, and then you could go back to my previous videos. I've talked about this over and over again. Anytime we gap up, we go down to fill the gap and then come back up, or continue downward, and vice versa if we gap down. So all that to say, we did gap up nicely on Monday, right, leading up to the event, but we never have recovered the gap going back to this high 116s, basically 117 level. We did go a little bit towards it in the low 118s, and then there was a lot of, selling off, bearish momentum ending Friday. So going into next week, right, what do I think could happen for the stock? Some things that I'm looking at right now are, we do have this gap to fill. We did fill it up to 118s, right, but we still have that 117 to go. And then the other thing that I like looking at, as you guys know, is taking a look at the EMAs, which are the exponential moving averages, and I look at 5. I look at the 8, 21, 34, 55, and 89 based on the Fibonacci sequence. So the 8 EMA right now is coming in at 119.11, which we sort of broke below, but as I said, I don't know if we actually broke below it because of the fact that we were just under it and then the market kind of closed. It all happened sort of toward the last 30 minutes. So come Monday morning, I'll be looking to see whether we can sort of regain this 8 EMA in the 119s, or if we go to fill that gap and then we have the 21 support, the 21 EMA, which will be right there, coming in perfectly at 117.02. In my opinion, right, us falling to 117.02, Apple, right, Apple falling to 117.02 would do two things. A, it would perfectly fill the gap, right? And the second thing it would do is it would bounce off of the EMA. Apple visiting that point would be great because it would validate the 21 EMA and we'd get sort of the test of the EMA. We'd fill the gap and then we could sort of bounce off of that and push right back up. Now, come Monday morning, right? I mean, after hours it was 118.72 and the 8 EMA is 119.11. It could regain the 8 EMA and then potentially ride the 8 EMA. But I think that if we open up a little bit lower, if we gap down, I wouldn't be surprised if we go to sort of fill that gap and then test the 21 EMAs in the 117s. My put position is for the purpose, like I'm personally thinking, we're already lower than where I bought it, right? But I'm thinking we go down a little bit more so I could get out of that. And then the rest of the week we could, again, depending on how we bounce off of the 21 EMA, if we bounce off of the 21 EMA, right? Because the next EMA comes in at 115.75. And then the 55 is all the way down at 112, which I personally don't think will go unless there's a lot of bearish momentum in the market overall. And then taking a look at the moving averages, what we see is we've got the 50-day moving average coming in at 117. Again, exactly 117.03, right? So 50-day moving average coming in, 21 EMA coming in, and the gap fill coming in. So all three of those are coming in at 117 around or high 116s for the gap fill. So I think that, we do have a great amount of, support between the closing here at 116.97 and the 21 EMAs in the 117.02, 117.03. So that being said, if two things to look out for, if we open up and we're kind of riding the 8 EMA, that could be it. But if we see negative momentum, if we gap down, if we open down, or if we gap even and we push down, then those 117s are key level to look out for, because I think that those could be where Apple bounces. And then kind of how everything else is going on in the market, we'll be able to see kind of tomorrow how the rest of the week could play out. So remember one thing, I've said this in every single one of my videos, but there's a lot of things sort of external to Apple that could push the stock one way or another, since Apple is a huge company, right? $2.04 trillion. The stimulus bill, which at this point probably won't pass before the election. We're just a couple weeks away from the election. So depending on who comes in as the new president and how the House and the Senate looks will kind of determine what kind of bill gets passed, whether it's Democratic majority or Republican majority. The second thing is there will be a rising number of coronavirus cases, as scientists are predicting, as we combine sort of with the flu season and as we're sort of loosening restrictions and as the cold weather comes back and we have more indoor gatherings or indoor events taking place. So stimulus, coronavirus, and then vaccine. Vaccine could be good, it could be bad, right? If vaccine comes out with, hey, we have a vaccine, here's when we're going to do it, boom, I think stock market jumps. But if there's any sort of negative news, whether it's a typical unexplained illness in a patient, right, that could be bad. So if vaccine timeline gets pushed, that could be bad. Stimulus could be bad, and then coronavirus cases could cause uncertainty. So all that to say, just be mindful of that, right? Like, we could do all the analysis we want, or if, you know, like President Trump tweeted that one time about the stimulus, again, going back to the stimulus, right? Those are things that are external to Apple. So you could do we could do a perfect analysis on Apple, but everything else could sort of dictate where the market's going. So just be mindful of that. Keep that in the back of your mind as you're trading. My personal sort of goal is to trade small and take profits when I can. I'd much rather see me take a 10% profit and then it could have been a 15, 18, 20% profit than to have a 10% profit and then it now be negative 20, which is what happened to some of my positions, you know, with the stimulus bills getting postponed. So hope you guys are all having an amazing weekend so far and have enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like, comment down below, subscribe to my channel. I'll do another daily Apple update video tomorrow to take a look at how it trades tomorrow. Excuse me. And then, you know, we'll kind of go from there and see what it did, whether it rides the AEMA or takes a dip down. And if it does take a dip down, whether it goes all the way down to 117 and finds support or not. So yeah, let's remember to be a bit better every single day. And until next time.